It was a quiet morning at my home. The sun was shining through the curtains of my bedroom, and the soft light made the room warm and peaceful. I slowly opened my eyes and stretched my arms. It was Saturday, so I didn't have to rush anywhere. I wanted to enjoy a calm and happy day at home. I looked at the clock on my wall. It was 7:30 in the morning. I smiled because I had slept well and felt fresh. I sat up on my bed and took a deep breath. The air was cool, and I could hear birds singing outside the window. It was a beautiful sound, and it made me feel grateful for the quiet morning. I got out of bed and walked to the bathroom. The floor was a little cold, so I walked quickly. I brushed my teeth, washed my face, and looked in the mirror. My hair was messy, and I laughed at how sleepy I looked. I combed my hair, washed my hands again, and felt ready to start the day. I went to the kitchen to make breakfast. The kitchen smelled nice because my mother had baked bread the night before. I opened the fridge and looked inside. There were eggs, milk, butter, and some fruits. I decided to make scrambled eggs and toast. I turned on the stove, put a pan on it, and started cooking. The sound of the eggs sizzling in the pan made me feel happy. Cooking breakfast for myself felt nice and peaceful. While the eggs were cooking, I turned on some soft music on my phone. The sound filled the kitchen, and I started humming along. I made a cup of tea with milk and sugar. When everything was ready, I put my breakfast on a plate and sat at the table. I looked outside the window as I ate. The street was quiet. A few children were playing with a ball, and an old man was walking his dog. The smell of my tea and toast made me feel cozy. I took small bites and thought about how lucky I was to have a calm morning. After breakfast, I cleaned the dishes and wiped the table. I didn't want to leave a mess. Then I went to the living room. The living room was full of light. The sunlight came through the big window and made the room look bright and beautiful. I sat on the sofa and looked at the bookshelf. I had many books there, but I hadn't read for a few days. I took out one book. It was a story about friendship. I opened the first page and started reading. The story was interesting. It was about two friends who helped each other during hard times. I read for almost 1 hour. Sometimes I stopped reading and looked outside. The wind was blowing softly, and the trees were moving gently. It was a peaceful sight. I felt relaxed and happy. After reading, I decided to clean my room. I went back to my bedroom and looked around. There were clothes on the chair, some books on the desk, and a few things on the floor. I turned on some music again to make cleaning more fun. I folded my clothes and put them in the closet. I arranged the books on my desk and threw away old papers I didn't need. I dusted the shelves and swept the floor. It took me about an hour, but when I finished, my room looked neat and fresh. I opened the window to let in some air. The smell of clean air and sunlight made me smile. I felt proud of myself for keeping my room tidy. Around noon, I went to the kitchen again. I was a little hungry. I decided to cook something simple for lunch. I made rice and vegetable curry. I cut onions, tomatoes, and potatoes, and cooked them slowly with some spices. The smell was so good that it made my mouth water. While the food was cooking, I listened to a podcast about positive thinking. The speaker was talking about how small habits can make your life better. I liked the message. I realized that cleaning my room, cooking my own meals, and reading books were small habits that helped me feel peaceful and happy. When the food was ready, I sat down and ate slowly. It tasted delicious. I enjoyed every bite. After lunch, I washed the dishes again and then went to rest for a while. I lay on my bed and looked at the ceiling. The fan was turning slowly. I felt sleepy. I closed my eyes and took a short nap. When I woke up, it was almost 3 o'clock. I stretched and got up. I felt fresh again. I decided to do something creative. I took my sketchbook and pencils. I liked drawing when I was home alone. It helped me relax. I sat near the window where there was good light and started drawing the plants that were outside. I looked carefully at the shapes of the leaves and the shadows. I drew slowly, taking my time. I forgot about everything else and just enjoyed the moment. After drawing for some time, I made myself a cup of coffee. I sat on the sofa and looked at my phone. I replied to a few messages from my friends. One of them, Sarah, asked if I wanted to join her for an evening walk later. I said yes. We planned to meet at the park around 5 o'clock. I put my phone down and looked around the room. Everything was calm and beautiful. I could hear the ticking of the clock and the sound of birds outside. I thought about how sometimes we don't need big plans or special events to be happy. Just being home, doing small things we love, can make a day perfect. At 4:30, I changed into comfortable clothes and got ready to go out. Before leaving, I watered the plants on my balcony. They looked green and fresh. I talked to them softly, like I always did, and smiled. I locked the door and walked out. The air was cool and fresh. The sky was light blue, and a few clouds were moving slowly. As I walked down the street, I saw children riding their bicycles and neighbors chatting outside their homes. Everyone seemed relaxed. I liked the sound of life around me. When I reached the park, Sarah was already there, sitting on a bench. She waved at me, and I waved back. We started walking together. We talked about our week, our families, and our plans. We laughed a lot. The park was full of people. Some were jogging, some were walking their dogs, and some were just sitting and enjoying the evening. The trees were tall and green, and the smell of flowers filled the air. The sun was slowly going down, and the sky turned orange. It was so beautiful that we stopped to watch it for a while. I took a deep breath and said, "This is my favorite time of the day." Sarah nodded and said, "Mine too." We walked for almost an hour. When it started getting dark, we said goodbye and went back to our homes. When I reached home, I felt calm and happy. I washed my hands, changed into my pajamas, and made myself some soup for dinner. I ate slowly while watching a simple movie on TV. It was a comedy, and I laughed a few times. The house was quiet again, and I felt thankful for the peaceful day I had spent at home. After dinner, I cleaned the kitchen one last time, turned off the lights, and went to my room. I sat on my bed with my journal and wrote about my day. I wrote about the morning sunlight, my reading, my walk with Sarah, and how happy I felt. Writing about my day made me feel even more grateful. Before sleeping, I turned off the lamp and lay down. The moonlight came through the window, and I watched it for a while. My eyes felt heavy. I closed them slowly and smiled. It had been a simple day, but full of small, beautiful moments. I whispered to myself, "Good night, home." And with that soft thought, I fell asleep peacefully, ready for another quiet morning tomorrow.